company vehicles cause serious and deadly accidents on our roadways every year. Call today. Thomas.
We have had widespread freezing rain, freezing drizzle, sleet.
We were trying to turn around to give the viewers at home a better look of what some of those overpasses look like, the elevated surfaces, the interchanges between the highways. They're not good.
And thanks for watching this special edition of KVUE News. I'm Jenny Lee. We have meteorologist Hunter Williams on weather and Brian Mays on traffic. And we have team coverage outside covering this winter storm.
From the roads to the power grid, we're tracking everything you need to know to stay safe during this icy weather.
Now, dozens of school districts have announced additional closures for tomorrow. You will see them scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And we're continuing to keep an eye on conditions all across central Texas. So let's take a live look outside, or let's try to take a live look outside. Not much to see because the rain from this morning has frozen over our camera. So let's get straight to meteorologist Hunter Williams for the latest on this freezing forecast. Hunter, can you see outside?
Yeah, Jenny Lee, I've actually got a couple more sky cams for you, and we'll try and set the scene across central Texas for you, as we've obviously been dealing with a very wintry day. Widespread icing from sleet and from freezing rain. The good news now, precipitation moving away, but behind the precipitation, it's going to be a really, really cold night. So again, a lot of wintry views, including from our Kalahari cam with that big icicle hanging down. 28 degrees is the current temperature in Austin. We are all below freezing, but the good news, again, let's put this into motion. A lot of the precip moving out, even some clearing now across the hill country. I've seen some reports over parts of Blanco and Burnett counties of some sunshine peeking out. The pink, though, is still some light freezing rain and sleet from Bastrop, Lee, Caldwell, into Fayette counties. This is going to keep pushing away. So by the time we get to, say, 6, 7 o'clock, I think almost all of this is out of here. It's windy. If you spent any amount of time outside today, which I hope you have not, you would notice that. Gusting to 26 right now in Georgetown. And because of this wind, the wind chills tonight are going to be honestly pretty brutal. A wind chill advisory has been issued for the entire KVUE area, 9 p.m. this evening through 9 a.m. on Friday. Wind gusts up to 35 could drop wind chills below 0 for some locations. So this is a look at the overnight temperatures that we are expecting tonight. I think we'll drop down to about 19 or 20 degrees by the time we wake up tomorrow morning in Austin. Widespread teens across the hill country, and again, factor in that breeze to create the wind chills even more rough. Now, we've been keeping a really close eye on all of our traffic cams. I took a screen grab of this one. This is 183 at Great Hills Trail. We are especially watching those bridges and overpasses, which were first to accumulate the freezing rain, the icing, and the sleet today. And still, you can see that covering some of the elevated surfaces here. So that's what I'm watching through tonight. Here's the bottom line. Sleet, freezing rain is going to move out through this evening, but temperatures are going to continue to drop tonight. So we've had many roadways through the day today that have just been wet, but if there's any lingering water or any sort of residual stuff left over, especially on those bridges and overpasses, I think that could freeze, and that could create more slick spots that are not currently there tonight, even after the precip moves out. So a hard freeze tonight with teens and low 20s likely. So icing is still going to be a factor for anybody that's driving tomorrow morning. Again, my recommendation, be on the safe side and don't really worry about it tomorrow. But if you have to get out and about, we really want everybody to be careful, especially the bridges and overpasses. So here's our 3-day forecast. Tomorrow, I think Austin will warm above freezing. All right, we'll go up to about 34 degrees, maybe 35. That should really help any lingering ice potential, but there could be some of the colder spots across the hill country that don't get above freezing. So it is possibly as late as Saturday morning that there's still some icy issues out there. But Saturday afternoon, it's going to be mostly sunny. We'll go up to 43. That should really end any concerns for icy travel at that point. But still, the mornings over the weekend are going to be cold. I think we'll make it into the 50s as we get into the day on Sunday. So that is all that we have for the forecast right now. Precipitation is moving out, but we look ahead to a cold night. I'll have another update for you coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Hunter, thank you so much. You know, road conditions have been tricky all day, and that's with the sun up. Can you imagine in a couple hours, Brian Mays, when the sun goes down?
That's what we're worried about, Jenny. As this water turns into ice overnight, we're going to see, I'm afraid, a lot more issues on the roads if people are out. The good news is we don't see a lot of people out. Haven't really all day today as you're taking a look at I-35 southbound. That's near Airport Boulevard. A few cars on the roads, but not too many, and that's a good thing. We did have this just pop up on I-35 northbound as you head from Round Rock through Georgetown, right at Southeast Inner Loop. The roadblock there you can see completely shut down on the northbound side. So keep that in mind if you do have to get out and travel northbound on I-35. Throughout the city, not a whole lot really to tell you about. There is that one issue on I-35 from the traffic camera we just showed you. They're still working that. Duval still shut down between 51st and 45th Street. So that's something to avoid if you live in that part of town. 183's been slow and go, elevated, of course, right near Leander, between Leander and Cedar Park. We've been watching that. And the 130 toll, we had an issue there out to the east. That's since cleared up, so that's smooth sailing there. Slow, but smooth as you head out. If you do have to get out tonight, slow down. Leave some extra space between yourself and the car in front of you. If you start to slide, don't hit the brakes, steer into the turn, and be careful on those bridges and overpasses, Jenny.
Not say that enough. All right, Brian Mays doing traffic for us. Thank you so much. Well, state leaders say the Texas power grid is reliable and it is resilient. Any power outages, they say, are localized issues and not because of the state grid. During a press conference earlier today, we heard Governor Greg Abbott say there is plenty of power available to get through peak demand tomorrow and the rest of this winter storm. He says there's enough extra electricity to power about 2 million homes. But still, some Texans have dealt with power outages during this storm. The governor says that's likely because of wind or ice that's damaged power lines.
Local power providers are bringing in extra resources to get those power lines back up, and the state of Texas is helping them.
Governor Abbott says there are already 10,000 linemen working across the state to restore power tonight, and nearly 2,000 more linemen are coming in from out of state to help. He issued a proclamation that will waive some regulations and let repair trucks come to the state faster and easier. The governor declared a disaster this afternoon for 17 Texas counties and many near Dallas, but also Williamson County here in our area. The governor's office told us those are counties that have declared local disasters, and if more do the same, they'll be added to the state disaster. All right, let's head on outside where we once again see Jake Garcia continuing our team coverage. Jake, we've seen you travel all around our viewing area. Where are you right now? And we want to point out that photojournalist John Perry is driving and Jake is in the passenger seat, nice and safe.
That's exactly right, Jenny. It definitely wouldn't be safe if I were trying to, as I'm dealing with a terrible echo here, so forgive me as I take my IFB out. But yeah, photojournalist John Perry in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat. We're actually in downtown Austin right now, and we've been showing you all day long some of the treacherous road conditions, the dangerous icy stretches of overpasses and freeways and elevated areas. I just wanted to remind everyone that downtown Austin is still beautiful. You can see a great look of the Capitol building right now as we head towards it. You might also hear in the background our car sensors going off. This will give you an idea of just how cold it is outside. So this car that we're in has sensors that detect if you're in the right lane, if you're close to another car. They're going off every 2 seconds because they've frozen over right now. So they're all out of whack, which should give you the indication that it's really, really cold outside. The thermostat inside the car is saying it's 31 degrees outside, and our meteorologists, of course, have been saying all day that it's only going to get colder. As for the road conditions that we're seeing here in the heart of downtown Austin, I would say it's just wet right now. There's only water on the road, and I'd be lying if I said that these were the most dangerous conditions we've seen all day, because they're really not. Conditions aren't too tough to drive in right now. Of course, that becomes an entirely different story the moment moment that you get on overpasses and elevated surfaces and out of these kind of inner city roads. Of course, these are a little bit more insulated than the ones that we're seeing on highways and overpasses. So conditions good here in the heart of downtown. Again, a different story if you go on exchanges between, I don't know, Toll Road 45 and I-35, Mopac and 45, 290 and I-35. Those have been some of the worst conditions that we've seen today. Fortunately, here downtown, not too bad right now. But again, any moisture on the ground will probably freeze overnight, which could, of course, make these travel conditions a whole lot tougher to navigate.
I have to tell you, it makes me feel a lot better to see you on lower ground. You were in the overpasses for several hours today with all those icy roads. I feel a lot better now that you're stopped too. So Jake Garcia, thank you so much for that. He is live in downtown for us. Now, coming up in just a few minutes, we will head to Marble Falls and check in with KVUE reporter Mike Maroot. So stay with us. Welcome back to our extended coverage of the winter storm. Before the break, we told you we would be visiting KVUE's Mike Maroot, who is continuing our team coverage. He is live in Marble Falls in Burnett County. Last time we visited with Mike, he was freezing and played around in the ice, and bunch of big cars were roaring past him. And Mike, where are you now? Hopefully safe and sound to the side of the road. Yes, you still are.
I am, yes. I don't even know that I would say I was playing around in the ice earlier, but that, you know, I guess, I don't know. I suppose it would be characterized that way. Either way, right now, I'm actually just a few blocks off of downtown Marble Falls here on 2nd Street and J Street. You heard Jake talk earlier about making sure that overpasses, that you're not going on those if you don't have to. Same with bridges. Here's one of the local bridges that we have here in Marble Falls. You can actually see that it's treated already. They used sand from the city's yard, from the public works yard, to make sure and treat this bridge so that any cars coming down the road are going to be safe and not slippery, because as we know, these bridges freeze first. And actually coming down the street right now is a pickup truck. We're going to see this bridge in action with the treatment, and then I'll show you exactly what the ice looks like, because some of this ice on the sidewalk is still here. Here goes that truck. You can see no slipping, no concerns. It was very smooth. Everything was gripping well, but there is still some ice. You can see it right here. Just sliding a little bit on the sidewalk. Some of it is, as you heard from Hunter earlier with the sun coming out, some of it is starting to melt, but as temperatures continue to drop, we're going to be seeing more of these freezing conditions on the roadways here in Marble Falls and in Burnett County. Jenny?
It's nice to see you playing around, but you're doing it safely. And it's also nice to see that one truck wasn't speeding. Okay, yes, keep going. But we want to point out that you're nicely to the side. Okay, you may want to stop because you may not be so lucky. Mike Maroot is on the sidewalk wearing his OSHA-approved vest off to the side of the road. Continue being safe. Mike Maroot continuing our team coverage for us in Burnett County and Marble Falls. All right, so just how much longer does Mike Maroot have to freeze in Burnett County, Hunter Williams?
Look, we're going to continue to drop, Jenny. So we have a hard freeze on the way tomorrow morning, and parts of central Texas may not get above freezing through tomorrow afternoon, but I do think that Austin by tomorrow afternoon is going to get up to about 35, 36, and that should continue to help things with the icing. But in the meantime, as you can see from this giant icicle hanging from our sky cam, temperatures are below freezing. There is still moisture on the roads in many instances, so as temperatures drop through tonight, I still want everybody to be super mindful for icy spots if you must travel, which we still do not recommend. It is 28 for Mayberry right now and 28 at the airport. So the temperatures have actually come up a degree or two since the precipitation is now moving out, so we're not getting that same evaporative cooling, we call it, that we had a few hours ago. But still, it is plenty cold. 27 in Llano Blanco's at 27. But notice, just about all the precipitation that we have left is southeast of Austin, so even some clearing as you go out across the hill country and the sunshine could help to get rid of some of that ice that's out there. But this is some light freezing rain, some light sleet that's moving through Bastrop County, Fayette, Lee, parts of Caldwell County. But over the next 1-2 hours, I think a lot of this is going to move out, and that will just about do it for the precipitation. Here's our high-res model showing by 6 or 7. Yeah, that is all gone. And then we turn our attention to really cold temperatures tonight. So this is my forecast for lows tomorrow morning, with Austin going down to 19 degrees, low 20s all the way down to Schulenburg, Mason, Fredericksburg, Llano around 16 or 17 degrees. So a hard freeze tonight. We've been talking all about the precipitation part of this forecast, but remember the 4 Ps tonight. Make sure you have your cold weather precautions done in addition to anything else. A wind chill advisory also goes into effect at 9 p.m. through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, because this is what our wind chills look like tomorrow morning. Feels like 11, maybe even single digits for some spots by tomorrow. Again, travel-wise, this is US 183 at Great Hills Trail. The elevated surfaces, still we have some ice accumulation on that. So our bottom line through tonight is that although the precip starts to move out, temperatures are going to continue to drop. So roads that right now are fine and are just wet could have some ice developing on them through tonight as we drop down to a hard freeze. So everybody please remain cautious on the roads if you must travel. 7-day forecast by Sunday, we're in the low 50s. And as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, and next week, we'll hopefully forget this all happened and we will go back to the low 60s. We'll be right back with continuing team coverage after the break.
Express Flooring will beat anyone's price by 15%, or it's free. Whatever sale the company
Welcome back to our special coverage of this winter ice storm. I'm senior reporter Tony Plahetsky. We, of course, have been keeping track all day of our emergency responders throughout the region and the types of calls that they are getting. I want to bring in Jasper Brown. He is the interim chief of Austin Travis County EMS. Chief Brown, thank you so much again for joining us this afternoon. I want to ask you, I know there's really a lot to get to in terms of the types of emergency calls that you all are responding to, but one of the things that you were telling me earlier is that you are starting to see exposure wounds, people who are calling 911 because they have been out in the cold. Can you just talk about the types of injuries that you are beginning to see at this point?
Sure. Thank you very much, Tony, for inviting me on to talk about this. To date, we've seen, or to this hour, we've seen about 30 exposure calls for people calling that they're receiving some sort of issue related to being out in the weather. You know, with the wind chill and the dampness of the weather, it could create hypothermia, and those people can be suffering from various other medical conditions as well. So the extreme cold is very dangerous to them.
What about the slip and fall injuries that we often see when we have an icing event here in Central Texas? Are you seeing reports of that as well?
Not as many as we have in the past. So I think the viewers have heeded the warnings of both you and other news media outlets about not going out on the icy roads or out into their driveways or sidewalks. We have not seen as many falls as we have in years past. So we're very appreciative of that. Today was a little bit better. It stayed above freezing for a little bit, and we still have some moisture on the ground. It's supposed to get colder tonight, and so tomorrow that same sidewalk, I think, is going to be more treacherous than it was today. So we really urge people to be very careful throughout the night and tomorrow especially.
And Chief Brown, as we go into the night, how are you helping make sure that your agency is prepared to respond to what likely will be an increase in calls tonight, overnight, and into tomorrow?
So we have our Department Operations Center opened up, and that's in conjunction with the Emergency Operations Center, which is covering the whole city and county. So we're one agency as part of that whole cog. And we have personnel here monitoring the situation. We've already started to deploy some traction devices for our ambulances out in the western areas of the county, because those roads are showing to be have more ice accumulated on them. So we've deployed the chains that we recently purchased and have available. We have personnel coming in tonight to stay in the stations to be ready for tomorrow for shift change. And we'll have our Department Operations Center open throughout the entire event to respond to any needs they have inside the stations or out on the streets as they occur.
Chief Jasper Brown from Austin Travis County EMS, thank you so much for joining us and for your time. Stay safe out there. More ice storm coverage after the break. Stay with us.
It's the inventory overstock sell-off at Lazy Boy. Hurry in and save up to 50% on $5 million in factory direct overstock. Everything must go. Lazy Boy. Live life comfortably.
And now, most admired alum.
Get up there.
This is so embarrassing. There's no way it's me.
You know her. You love her.
Ruh-roh. What are you doing here?
News. Let's take a look at ERCOT's reports. You can see the state has more capacity than is being used right now. The purple represents the committed capacity in Texas, and the blue represents the current demand. So there is plenty of power for everyone right now. We heard Governor Greg Abbott also mention this in a press conference earlier today. There is enough power for the entire state. Now, if you need a place to get warm, Austin and Travis County have community shelters available. They are open right now, and they will be open for the next 24 hours while weather conditions persist. They are listed on your screen right now, and you can find the list and the addresses on our website. Just head on over to KVUE.com. And as we have been showing you the road conditions all day long, you guys are sending us pictures of what you're seeing. Be sure to continue sending us these pictures from your front door, from your patio, from your porch. Just tweet at us as well, or text us your photos to the number you see on your screen, 512-459-9442, and we will share them right here. All right, still ahead, we will go up to Georgetown and get a look at those road conditions up there. Stick with us.
So there you
All right, we'll get an update on your forecast now as the precipitation is starting to move away from central Texas, which is great news for us, but that does not mean we're out of the woods with this. Our temperatures are below freezing, so I still think that icy patches are completely fair game through tonight and into tomorrow morning. So let me show you the latest picture here. It's 28 degrees in Austin, but the precip has moved out, and that should pretty much do it. Still hanging on to some sleet, some light freezing rain for places like Bastrop County, Lee County, into Fayette County, parts of Caldwell County, but over the next 1 to 2 hours, I think even this stuff is going to move out. We've even seen some clearing out here west of Austin, and hopefully that sunshine can kind of peek out and maybe melt a little tad bit of ice before things cool down a ton for tonight. Again, here Bastrop County, Lee, Fayette County, that peak is freezing rain and sleet, which is in the process of moving out. Tonight, a hard freeze. So we've been talking all about these preps ahead of the precipitation. I want everybody to remember the cold weather preps in addition to that for tonight. The 4 Ps, people, pets, pipes, and plants. 19 degrees tomorrow morning in Austin, low 20s down to Schulenburg and LaGrange. Teens are widespread tomorrow morning across the hill country. In addition to the cold air temperatures, a wind chill advisory has been issued for the entire KVUE area at 9 p.m. this evening through 9 a.m. on Thursday. Because of this, wind chill values Widespread, could be in the single digits by tomorrow morning. In fact, the National Weather Service is saying there could be some numbers tomorrow morning that are below 0, maybe down to 4 below for the feels like temperature tomorrow morning. So here's our bottom line, where we stand right now. Sleet and freezing rain is moving out now, but temperatures are going to drop tonight. So roadways that right now and through the whole day have been just wet, if there's any lingering precipitation on them, that could freeze and create slick spots tonight into tomorrow morning as we have a hard freeze. So again, my advice to you, if you have absolutely nowhere to be tomorrow morning, continue to stay off the roads, and if you must travel, I really want you to be safe. 35 above freezing for Austin tomorrow afternoon, but then hard freezes Saturday morning and then again on Sunday morning. So I want to show you these views. A lot of overpasses and bridges that I'm tracking still have sleet and ice all over them. So these are the type of things that we want to avoid or be really, really careful with through this evening and through tomorrow morning. Brian Mays has been keeping a really close eye on the traffic maps. So Brian, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, you showed the map there. We're going to start with a look at I-35 southbound as you head into town. Again, not much activity taking place there, but if you head north on I-35, we've got serious issues here. A couple of crashes on I-35 northbound, just south of Highway 29, shutting down the northbound lanes. Again, it's starting to pick up again. I'll have to check and see if they've reopened those lanes. But as of now, northbound I-35, just north of Gerald is red as well. That means it's very slow. We assume ice building up there as you head through the afternoon into the evening hours. Again, Mopac, as you get on to 45, that toll, we've been watching that. It's been slow go all day today in Round Rock there on Mopac North, just off to the side there, just off to the west of I-35. It's slow and go there. It's slowed down through town as well. Mopac right down from just south of Howard Lane. Again, we've watched that kind of slow and go as well. Let's take it down really far towards Duval from 51st to 45th. Again, that's been closed because of a water main break. We've watched that. And I want to take you out to our west. Hunter mentioned this. This is kind of where the cold stuff is going to move in soon. I-10 has been red, slow all afternoon into the evening hours. Again, you want to avoid, if at all possible, getting out on the roads because it's just not safe to be out tonight. Go slow. If you start to spin, don't hit your brakes, and be careful of those bridges, ramps, and overpasses as you head through the evening. Jenny, back to you.
I feel for all those people who have to be outside driving in those weather conditions. Thank you so much, Brian Mays, traffic anchor extraordinary. All right, we are continuing our team coverage. We've got KVUE reporters everywhere. That includes Pamela Combe. She is live in Northwest Austin. And Pamela, what are you seeing?
Jenny, yeah, I am in Northwest Austin. I'm in Palmer Lane right now, and right behind me, I actually want to show you the roads. We've been in Northwest Austin since about 8 a.m. this morning, and these are probably the best conditions I've seen all day. I mean, there's really just very little slush right now on the roads, and as you can see, well, that car just kind of sped by. I mean, people are just kind of driving at the speed limit, not really taking it down, not really taking it slow, because, I mean, the roads are in pretty good condition. And I actually want to show you, I mean, everything's covered in ice, and I actually want to bring you right over here, over to this tree. I want Scott to actually zoom in because this is covered in ice. I want you to hear this really quick, kind of just how this sounds. That is just pure ice. And then if you look right over here, you can see, I mean, those are icicles up in the trees. We've seen trees covered in white all day. Some have been weighed down, about to break off because of the heavy, the heavy sleet, because of the ice, because of everything going on. And yeah, I mean, that's how it's looking right now. It's really cold in this area, and we still recommend, people stay home if they can. Try not to hit the roads and stay safe, stay warm. Back to you, Jenny, in the studio.
Pamela, you're the only live shot I've actually seen snow behind you. So that's kind of nice. Although I don't like how fast that car was going. So that's just goes to show not everyone is listening. Please be careful. Kind of maybe not stand so close to the road. Pamela Combe reporting live for us in Northwest Austin. Maybe get back in the car right now. All right, continue our team coverage. I told you we have KVUE reporters everywhere. KVUE's Maria Aguilera joins us now from Georgetown. That's one of the bad spots up in Williamson County. How's it looking now as the temperatures continue to drop, Maria?
Jenny, well, it is obviously very cold out here, but the main thing is how the roads looked as we entered Georgetown. So whenever we were driving on I-35 northbound, we all heard Brian kind of talk about the traffic in that area. We saw two cars that skid off the road, and we saw significant ice as we were driving. Again, that was I-35 northbound as we were entering in the county. And the county judge earlier just on KVUE said that there were 95% of the roads in the county were affected by the ice and are covered in ice, and we definitely have seen that. So if you don't have to be out and you are in Williamson County, don't go out on the roads, because obviously it was very dangerous, very scary situation even as we were driving. And if you are out and you need to be out, or if you need a warming center or just a place to charge, just any of your devices, the Williamson County Sheriff's Office is having a warming center open just here behind me. So if you need that, they're going to be open until further notice. And so far, no one has showed up just yet. Thankfully, people still have their power, but they're saying if you do need it, if it gets colder tonight, be sure to stop by. They're going to have volunteers, they have water, it is warm, and of course we're going to continue to stay here and just monitor the conditions here in Georgetown and in Williamson County. But for now, Jenny, back to you.
That's a good point, Maria. Tony Pletsky talked to the Williamson County judge earlier. The conditions there are so bad that all the road crews were pulled back in. That's how dangerous the road conditions are there. The road crews aren't even out. So you shouldn't even be out. What have you seen? Have you seen fewer cars there as of 4:30 this afternoon? It's traffic time. There should be lots of cars out.
Yeah, so we've seen some cars, and definitely when we were driving on I-35, there were more cars than I thought that we would see, and we were driving very slow, but people weren't really following the lanes, and they were just kind of sliding a little bit here and there. It was kind of a scary situation. Andrew Sanchez, photojournalist here, and I were trying to be as safe as possible, but it was kind of scary, so we were thankful that we made it here safely. So again, yeah, don't be out if you don't have to, and of course, when we need to get out of here, we will be as safe as possible. Jenny?
That's disheartening to hear. That's exactly what we don't need in this situation when the temperatures are dropping, there's water on the roadways and ice as well. Maria Aguilera, thank you for your observations, and please, of course, you and Andrew Sanchez be safe. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, speaking of senior reporter Tony Pletsky, he will meet with a local mental health expert. He will talk with them to see how this storm is stirring up a lot of emotional memories from last year's winter storm. Stick with us.
to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster.
Only local weather.
Last year's winter storm is something Texans will never forget. This freeze is not and will not be as bad as last year's, but it does seem to have triggered a lot of emotional memories from 2021's darkest and coldest days. Let's bring in Patty Olwell. She's an Austin psychotherapist who specializes in trauma and anxiety. You know, Patty, I was just sharing on social media last night about just that. So many people I was talking to were saying that so many of their memories from last year seem to have almost been transported into 2022. Is that what you're finding in your practice as well?
I certainly am. And I think, you know, it's PTSD is when you feel like you're in a life-threatening event, even if it's not. And this year's storm probably is not going to be anywhere near as devastating as last year's, but people are feeling frightened and anxious. And if you went to the grocery stores and saw the lines to the back of the store starting Thursday morning, I think your analysis is pretty spot on.
Patty, how does this work in a person's mind? I mean, we sort of consciously know that it's different, and yet emotionally it can be hard to sort of break that apart. How literally does this work in our own brains?
Yeah, it's the internal sort of reaction to the external stimulus. The idea that something sort of makes you flash back and feel like you're in the previous experience, right? It's what people experience with wars and with fires and car accidents and, you know, a physical assault, where they all of a sudden are transported into that time.
I think the question that so many people have, though, who maybe experience anxiety, anger, PTSD symptoms that you were mentioning, and that is, how do we recover from something like that when something that was truly traumatic for us happens and when something else reminds us of that previous event? How do we take care of ourselves?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of techniques you can use in the moment. You know, actually connecting with other people, talking to other people, sort of not isolating. You can use meditation, exercise to sort of regulate your nervous system and get you back in touch with the present and not the past experiences.
Thanks so much, Patty, for joining us, taking the time to discuss how we can all take care of ourselves, because, you know, Mother Nature is what it is, and the next winter storm could be next week or in 3 weeks or next year, but so many of these emotional memories, it does seem, are very similar.
Right. Thanks for having me. Take care.
You too. We'll be right back, everyone. Stay with us for more special ice storm coverage.
All right, welcome back as we continue our team coverage of today's winter storm. I want to start with several different views across central Texas, and notice there is not precipitation, no freezing rain, no sleet falling from any of these sky cams. Now still there's ice that's visible, but most of the precipitation is now moving out. By the time we get to 6 or 7 o'clock, I think this is entirely out of central Texas, but that does not mean we're completely out of the woods. Let me show you why. We drop down to 19 tomorrow morning in Austin, so temperatures are below freezing now. We have a hard freeze tonight, so anything that is just water on the roads right now could create slick spots overnight as temperatures continue to drop, and any sleet accumulations, especially on those bridges and overpasses, could remain or refreeze and get worse through tonight. So I still want everybody to be super careful with travel. But then tomorrow, mostly sunny, and we'll go up to 35 in Austin. So we'll get above freezing tomorrow afternoon, and that should really help to melt a lot of this away. Here's what we're dealing with right now. 25 in Llano as well as Fredericksburg. Austin's at 28, and this is the last little bit of precipitation that we have. Even some clearing now for places like Blanco, Burnett, Llano, Gillespie counties. This is really now just very light sleet or some freezing rain there, especially around the Giddings area, but that is in the process of moving out. And we get a hard freeze tonight. Austin in the city, 19 degrees, low 20s southeast of Austin, and then mid-teens as you go out across the hill country. Johnson City, wake up at 18, 16 in Llano, 16 in Fredericksburg. So with those type of numbers tonight, this is a current look at several of the bridges and overpasses that I'm monitoring. I mean, look at this, I-35 near Georgetown, that's looking really slick. This is what they look like now, and because we are below freezing and will drop even farther below freezing by tomorrow morning, I think still tomorrow morning we're going to have slick spots, especially on the bridges and overpasses. So my advice to you in the bottom line here is sleet, freezing rain coming to an end overnight, but as temperatures drop, roadways that are now just wet or are already frozen could continue to be slick through tonight and into tomorrow morning. So hard freeze tonight, icy travel is possible in some spots tomorrow morning. Again, I'm not saying every inch of roadway here in central Texas is going to be an ice rink tomorrow, but I'm saying we will have some slick spots tomorrow morning, and I want everybody to be mindful. And you know, the safest course of action is just to stay inside and to stay off the roads, which is really what we recommend. Okay, so the precipitation is moving out. Now we have to look at the wind chill. We have a wind chill advisory that's been issued for all of central Texas. 9 p.m. this evening through 9 a.m. on Friday. It's very breezy outside, wind gust up to 35 miles per hour. That could drop wind chills as low as 4 below zero for parts of central Texas tomorrow. And our model is really showing that potential. It has by 7:30 tomorrow morning. Austin feels like 10. Bastrop feels like 7, Giddings feels like 6. We have widespread single-digit, if not colder, wind chill readings for tomorrow morning. So you really got to bundle up with this type of weather, and the air temperatures by themselves are going to be plenty cold. Here's the hour-by-hour forecast. Again, tomorrow morning, a hard freeze. Remember the 4 Ps, and take your cold weather precautions tonight with this type of serious cold. Honestly, the latest data I'm looking at, I think a lot of central Texas will get above freezing tomorrow afternoon, and that should be great news to start to get rid of some of this ice. But there are going to be some spots, especially across the hill country, that might not get above freezing. And then here comes another widespread freeze as we go into Saturday morning. And as I track these lows forward over the next 5 days, the morning's going to stay really cold, even as we go into the weekend. But on the 7-day forecast, you'll see our weekend forecast is a huge improvement. Warmer temperatures. We're up to 51 degrees by Sunday, and then we have low 60s in the forecast by the middle of next week. Now, our Jake Garcia, he has been driving around all over central Texas this afternoon, keeping us up to date with the latest on the roads. Jake, what are you seeing now?
Hunter, I've stepped out of the car for the first time today, and let me tell you, it was kind of a shock. I was used to the warm, 68, 69, 70 degrees inside the car, and now I'm outside and I can see my breath, so that's like the number one sign that it's really
Jake Garcia literally frozen at HEB. No, technical issues. He's not literally frozen. But what he was going to say, HEB, many HEB stores close in about 7 minutes. So if you have, no, you don't have time. Please do not get on the roadways and rush to HEB. Just wait a couple of days. Many of those stores, of course, close because of the freezing temperatures that we are enduring and expecting to endure for the next several hours. They will close at 5 o'clock today. So don't make any plans to go to HEB. You have plenty of food, I'm sure, in your cupboard cupboards and your refrigerators. The freezing temperatures are going to last tonight, and we are all going to be okay because Saturday the sun will come up, right? So, Hunter, when will we rise above the freezing temps?
I think many of us will get above freezing tomorrow afternoon, okay? So with sunshine and temps above freezing, don't get me wrong, it's going to be cold, still 35, but 35 is above freezing, so we should start to get rid of a lot of these icing issues by tomorrow afternoon, guys. But the problem is, tonight is going to be a hard freeze. It's 28 now. We're going to drop down to about 20 degrees or 19 even in the city tonight for Austin, with widespread teens outside of the city. And that's why we already have bridges and overpasses that are coated in ice, and they're probably going to stay coated in ice through this evening. And if there's stuff that's just liquid right now on the roads and has been liquid and not a problem all day long, once temperatures start to drop even more tonight, and once we stop getting frequent car travel over those areas, I think we could see some refreezing. So again, it's not going to be a complete ice rink necessarily for every inch of roadway here in Central Texas, but chances are your commute's going to take you over a spot that could be icy, or your commute's going to take you through a bridge or an overpass. So at the very least, we want you to be going real slow, being real mindful of that type of thing. Or if you want to be on the safe side, just avoid travel tomorrow. So here's a breakdown of our lows tonight, again with a widespread hard freeze that is on the way. We'll go down to about 19 degrees by tomorrow morning in Austin, 20 degrees or so in Bastrop. We're looking at widespread teens in the forecast. So that is what we're expecting for tonight. I think you guys just said something in my ear where you guys want me to go, so y'all can let me go again. There we go. We're going to go over to our traffic, and Brian's going to have an update for you.
You surprised me. I wasn't ready. I need to go get my clicker. I was building my maps to show you what's going on. The main thing
looks clear.
I wanted to show you was, as we go back, Georgetown's the issue right now. There's a couple of crashes in Georgetown, right south of 29. There it is. I'm new at this, guys. But you can see those two crashes northbound 35 as you head into Georgetown, right at Southeast Inner Loop. That's got traffic backed up for just a little bit, and you can see a lot of people going out to 130 to try to get around that. A lot of yellows on the map, good. Not much red, not much orange, so that's good as well. You can see as we take a little trip around the city, not too many issues to tell you about, but this on Duval, still an issue. Duval closed between 45th and 51st Street because of that burst pipe. Again, if you go way out west, I-10 is still the worst part I can see on the map, still frozen out there. If you get stuck, don't forget the number 800-525-5555. We'll be...
When it comes loved ones from a
What's up in Austin without missing a beat? Add KVUE News to your smart home device. Just enable the KVUE News skill on your Amazon Echo or Google Home.
Still tomorrow morning. Honestly, if you could stay home, I think that's still a pretty good idea.
Everything has been freezing. We actually just picked this icicle off of one of our news units, big as my face.
You've seen it kind of ice up over the course of the last couple of hours, but still traffic moving along pretty smoothly.
We are dealing with one of the most significant icing events that we've had in the state of Texas in at least several decades.
Tonight on KVUE News at 5, keeping track of those freezing temperatures and icy conditions all across Central Texas. Governor Greg Abbott speaking earlier today, and as you heard, he's calling this the most significant icing event in decades.
Schools across the area are closing tomorrow. We have an updated list scrolling at the bottom of your screen. We have crews all across the area bringing you the latest on the conditions.
All right, and we want to start tonight with an update on the forecast. And I have some good news to pass along, and that's that the precipitation, at least most of it, is now moving away from Central Texas. But that does not mean we are completely out of the woods. We still have a lot of bridges and overpasses that are coated in ice. And with temperatures dropping down to a hard freeze tonight, slick spots will remain a possibility into tomorrow morning. So let me show you the latest radar. We'll start with this. It's cold, by the way. It's 28 in Austin. Temperature's been dropping through the day. But notice, as far as any of that pink left, that freezing rain and that sleet, really we're just left with a few spotty light showers over parts of Bastrop, Lee, maybe northern Fayette County. And that's going to move out here over the next couple of hours, even sooner than that, probably over the next hour. And that will pretty much do it for the precipitation. We've even seen some clearing back behind that this afternoon across the hill country. So our overnight lows. Really cold tonight with a hard freeze. We'll go down to 19 in Austin, low 20s southeast, mid to upper teens out across the hill country, where Orlando will drop down to 16 degrees. So our updated headlines for you. The sleet and freezing rain is going to come to an end. It really has already ended for much of us, but it's very cold overnight. So as temperatures drop down to the teens for many of us tonight, roadways that right now and through the entire day have been just regular old wet and not an issue could freeze, and anything that is already frozen could remain frozen. So with a hard freeze tonight, I'm still tracking the potential for some icy travel tomorrow morning. So at a bare minimum, we want everybody to be super cautious driving tomorrow morning, especially bridges and overpasses. And really, I think the safest thing is still to just stay off the roads for tonight into tomorrow morning if you can. Now, outside of the precipitation, look at this. This is a wind chill advisory that was issued earlier this afternoon. Goes into effect at 9 p.m. this evening through 9 a.m. on Friday. With wind gusts up to 30 or 35, wind chill values could be below zero for parts of Central Texas by tomorrow morning. Our latest model run is not showing below zero, but it's showing widespread single digits for the feels like temperatures tomorrow morning. 10 degrees, the feels like tomorrow morning in Austin at 7, feels like 3 degrees in Fredericksburg by tomorrow morning. And again, this is the scene that we still have. The precipitation has moved out, but I'm looking at I-35 near Georgetown. That overpass still covered in ice and sleet. 290 at Berkman Drive, that overpass looks slick. 183 at Great Hills Trail, that overpass still looks slick. So as temperatures drop down through tonight, we're still going to have a lot of elevated surfaces that look like that. So again, that is my word of caution to you as far as travel is concerned through tonight and through tomorrow morning. And speaking of travel, Brian Mays has been watching the roads really closely through this afternoon. He's got an update with all the latest.
Hunter, the great thing about those three pictures you just showed, not much traffic, and that's kind of what we've seen all day. This is in fact the most traffic I've seen on I-35 right at Airport Boulevard as you head into Austin. The issue that we still have on the map is in Georgetown, just south of 29. We had 2 crashes. One is now cleared, but that's backed things up on I-35 headed north and kind of picked things up over on 130 as people try to avoid that backup on I-35. Getting towards the city now, 183 slow and go on research. You can see see all the way into Mopac, right by the domain there. Slow and go there on 183. We've seen that for most of the day today. As that elevated roadway is the one you want to avoid, and avoid Duval. That is 51st Street. That is 45th Street. It is closed down because of a water main break. There also had a tree down in that area, so you're going to want to avoid that. And then out to our west, you're seeing a lot more ice on I-10 as you head out there towards Kerrville. Again, if you get in trouble on the roads, 800-525-5555. That's a non-emergency number to call if you get in trouble out on the roads. Jake Garcia has been out and about most of the day today. Jake, where are you? How are things looking on the roads where you are this afternoon?
Brian, yeah, for much of the afternoon, we've been driving throughout Central Texas to get a look at those road conditions. We decided to stop, though, at one of the HEBs here in downtown Austin off Old Torf Street in South Congress because they're closing right about now. We got here about 20 minutes ago, and we'd expect, you know, a much more crowded parking lot than what we're seeing for a store about to close its doors for the day. But instead, the situation that you're seeing right now, a very empty parking lot. In fact, I want to say people might be being turned away at the doors right now because the store is closing. But to your point, you said that traffic throughout the city was kind of dwindling down. It's very minimal here, and I'd say that's a good sign just because it allows these workers to kind of go home early. It means that Central Texans were a little bit more prepared for this winter storm than they were for last year. So I'll send it back to you guys in the studio, but good news here at the HEB. It's not crowded. These workers being sent home a little bit early today.
I'm Mike Marute out here live at Lakeside Park in Marble Falls, where we were on the bridge over Lake Marble Falls earlier this afternoon. Now we want to show you exactly what the bridge looks like from afar. You can see a little bit of traffic going across the bridge from north to south and south to north. But as we were up there earlier, we showed you a lot of the ice that had accumulated on the bridge. Throughout the afternoon, there was some sun coming out from behind some of the clouds, and it melted away a little bit of the ice accumulation, but we've also seen that as the sun has again disappeared, temperatures have continued to drop. The stuff that has since melted on the bridge is going to start to refreeze. So if you're already home in Marble Falls, stay home in Marble Falls. Or if you're home anywhere, really, stay home at this point, because temperatures are only going to continue to drop. Roads are only going to be getting more icy and more slick. So please be careful if you are going out on the roads at all this evening, and make sure that if you are out on the roads that you have the stuff in your car in case you get stuck. You have a blanket, you have warm clothes, you have fresh socks and shoes and things just in case you need to get out, you know, and step out on the road or in the snow. Excuse me, in the ice accumulation that's already built up. But we'll be live here at the park here later on in the show, later on in the newscast. For now, Brian and Ashley, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike, reporting for us live this afternoon. We appreciate that, Mike. Now, if you need a place to warm up, perhaps recharge your phone or some of your devices, Austin and Travis County opened community shelters. They're open 24 hours a day while conditions permit. The list of locations is right there on your screen. You can also find this list as well as the addresses for each of these centers at KVUE.com. And you want to make sure you have the KVUE app handy through this winter storm. It's the best way for us to send you the latest alerts. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. You can also download the KVUE app on Roku and Amazon Fire.
Taking a live look out at Lake Travis today. Still ahead, we're going to bring you continuing coverage, the latest on this icy weather. Tony Plahetsky and Pamela Combe will join us live coming up after the break. Stay with us.
I'll have another update on the forecast as the precip moves out, but the temperatures are going to really drop tonight. It's 28 in Austin. I think we wake up at 19 tomorrow morning with a widespread freeze. I'll have a full update on your forecast right after the break.
2019.
Tony Plahetsky, we're bringing you the latest on this winter storm. Of course, one of the things we've been wanting to do all day is check in with emergency responders from throughout the region. We're joined now by Cedar Park Police Chief Mike Harmon. Chief, wanted to talk to you about how things are going there in Cedar Park tonight. I know you've got a lot of elevated surfaces with a lot of the highways in your city. Can you just describe the types of calls that your officers have responded to today?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on, Tony. So today has actually been pretty good for us out here in Cedar Park. Since midnight to now, we've only had one accident related to the ice on the road. The roadways have been treated since midnight. So our crews out here in Cedar Park, the Public Works guys have been doing a fantastic job. The Toll Road Authority has been on top of things. So we have been really fortunate out here in Cedar Park where people have, they've adhered to the warnings. The traffic has been extremely light, which we appreciate. We just ask everybody to continue following those rules through the night and into the early morning. And hopefully, we'll get through these next couple of days without any major incidents out here in Cedar Park.
Chief, I've asked a lot of officials that I've talked to today. Obviously, we know and all lived through what happened in February 2021. How would you say your department and your officers are better prepared and better equipped for something like what is happening today?
So that's a good question. We've actually been preparing all week with meetings with our emergency management coordinators, making sure we have the right equipment for our vehicles, just in case we need, the chains for the tires, de-icer, making sure we have enough staffing available, working with our Public Works crews over there, make sure that we're all in contact with each other. And we've had our virtual EOC up and going since probably about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning. And so the communication part has been really, really good with everybody here in the city, and just making sure that, we're taking the proper steps to make sure that the roadways and our citizens are safe.
And Chief, just as we go into tonight and into the overnight hours and early morning hours tomorrow, what are you asking the people of Cedar Park to do?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just asking people to continue what they're doing. They're staying home. We're not seeing, like I said, a lot of traffic on the roadways, which is really good. Because, when people, they think they can get out and the road may look clear, but there may be thin patches of ice that they're not aware of. They get into accidents, and then, our emergency services have to go out there and help them. So just stay home, enjoy time with your family, watch a couple movies, whatever you need to do. And, the schools are closed tomorrow, which is good. The city offices are closed here in Cedar Park tomorrow. So really, there's no reason to be out. Just stay at home, let this pass through, and hopefully we'll have a great weekend, and then everybody can get out and enjoy what they normally do on the weekends and stuff. But we ask, stay off the roadways and let this storm pass through.
Cedar Park Police Chief Mike Harmon, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, it is time now to get a check of that weather with meteorologist Hunter Williams.
Yeah, and I think that was just great advice from the Cedar Park Police Chief there. A lot of schools are canceled tomorrow. Look, if you have nowhere to be, we advise just staying off the roads. Again, the situation today has not been that every single inch of the road has been a complete ice rink. It's not like that, but we have many bridges and overpasses especially that are iced over. And still, we have some residual water that's been just plain old wet roads through the day, but as temperatures drop tonight, I can't rule out some more icy spots developing. So the safest course of action is just to stay off the roads if you can, and if you must get out, be really careful, especially on those elevated surfaces. So we're still left with a really wintry scene from our camera up here in Concordia. But notice there's no sleet or freezing rain or anything like that falling from the sky. And just about all of the precipitation has moved out. You know what? After the precip has moved out, we've actually warmed up a little bit. It is still very cold, but it's 28 in Camp Mabry. We're down to 27 earlier. The airport right now at 29 degrees. It's very breezy outside. Sustained at 12 right now in Austin. But look at these gusts. 24-mile-per-hour wind gust right now in Austin. Georgetown's gusting to 26. Burnett's gusting to 26. And for this reason, we have a wind chill advisory that's been issued for Central Texas tonight with really cold wind chills on the way. One side effect, though, that could actually help us is when you get wind that's this strong, sometimes that can kind of wick some of the moisture off of the roadways. So look, the wind chill part of this we don't want, but maybe that could help to dry some of these road surfaces off today that have had a lot of standing water on them before we drop down to this hard freeze tonight. So temperatures will fall through the 20s tonight. I think we wake up right around 20 tomorrow morning in Austin. My official morning low for Austin tomorrow is 19 degrees. So really cold weather, hard freeze. Remember the 4 Ps for tonight. People, pipes, pets, and plants. Make sure you account for all of that tonight. But again, the good news for you is the precipitation, for the most part, is now moving out. We're left with just a light little shower. There was some sleet or freezing rain, it looks like, southeast of Austin. I want to show you some of the reports that we're getting in. These are preliminary numbers, and I'm looking through some of the freezing rain reports too. But Georgetown, we had a report around Georgetown of 0.8 of an inch of sleet today. Llano had a similar report. Kerrville, we had 0.5, a half inch. Fredericksburg, a half inch. And we had some reports around the Austin area of about 0.3 of an inch of sleet. I've also seen some freezing rain reports across parts of the metro that are upwards of 1/4 of an inch. And again, I'm kind of sifting through some of those reports now, and we'll get those put together for you by our next newscast. Overnight lows tonight, 19 in Austin, widespread teens as you go out to the hill country, low 20s all the way down to Schulenburg and LaGrange tonight. So a hard freeze is on the way. And this is our bottom line thinking as far as where things stand now as the precipitation moves out. So sleet, freezing rain have just now about come to an end, but we are very cold still tonight. So as temperatures continue to drop, there are roadways that right now and through the entire day have been just wet. Those could ice over, and we have roadways that are already iced over, and those could stay iced over through tonight and into tomorrow morning. So please, if you must travel, and our recommendation is not to, but if you must, we want you to be really, really careful and pay attention to those driving tips we've been given all day. Hard freeze for tonight. Teens in low 20s, so ice is fair game tomorrow morning. Here's our wind chill advisory. In effect, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. Friday. Wind chill values could be below 0 for parts of Central Texas tomorrow morning. These are the numbers that our latest graph model's printing. 10 degrees tomorrow morning for the feels like in Austin, single digits widespread outside of the hill country. I want to time out tomorrow afternoon though, because the latest data I'm looking at actually shows most of Central Texas getting above freezing tomorrow afternoon. I'm forecasting 35 tomorrow afternoon. Some of the coldest spots across the hill country, it might be a struggle to get above freezing, but I think that sunshine and 35 tomorrow should help to really get rid of any of those lingering ice issues for the afternoon. As late as Saturday morning, for some of the areas, there could be some icy spots, but Saturday afternoon goes to 43. Sunday, we go up to 51 degrees, and much warmer weather is back in the forecast by next week.
And warmer weather, certainly a welcome sight. Well, stick with us for KVUE News at 5 p.m. Lacombe is in Northwest Austin. Not that you can see much on our camera there, Brian. It looks like it's pretty well iced over, right?
Yep, there's definitely some ice out there. We'll see how the conditions are where she is coming up.
Join
News at 5. We are experiencing freezing temperatures across Central Texas.
Bringing you the very latest on those icy conditions tonight. KVUE's Pamela Combe joins us live off Palmer in Northwest Austin. Pamela, how is it looking? It looks very cold where you are.
Brian, yeah, I am freezing right now. I have so many layers of clothes on and I'm still not warm, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Now let's take a look at the roads right behind me. I mean, you can see cars just passing by. They're actually moving at a pretty quick rate. I mean, the roads in this area aren't too bad. I've been in Northwest Austin driving around since about 8 in the morning, and this is actually the best conditions I've seen the roads in this area in. There's just a little tiny bit of slush on the streets, but really it's all kind of just melted off. It's in pretty good condition. However, if you kind of just come right over here to the sidewalk, you do see all this ice right next to me just kind of accumulating. And I actually want to show you just everything right here is covered in ice and icicles. And look, if you want to just step on it, you can hear all of that crunchy ice just, you know, it's there. But yeah, it's really cold out here and we still recommend everyone to stay home, stay safe. And even though the roads are looking better, you know, try to stay off as much as you can and just stay cozy and stay home. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Pamela. Before we go to break, we want to remind you several school districts are canceling classes tomorrow.
You'll see a complete list scrolling right there at the bottom of the screen coming up. And we'll be right back with more here on the News at 5. Stay with us.
Men, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction?
We've been asking for photos all day long, so we've got some. Let's take a look at a few of them. Some animals out enjoying this nice icy weather. That dog quite doesn't know what to think about all the ice seeing here in Central Texas. We've got a lot of dog photos, actually. A lot of animals enjoying maybe their first ice storm. I don't know. That horse is looking right at you, though.
I enjoy seeing the pets in the sweaters. I'm waiting for someone to send us dogs in boots. All right, but here are some photos sent in from a viewer in Fredericksburg, and you can just see all of that ice and snow that they're getting out there in Fredericksburg, Brian.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about those folks to our west here in Austin and how much ice and that they've dealt with, the sleet that they've dealt with. Some photos and videos Doss, that's out in Gillespie County here out to our west as well. Here's some video you can see. Look, another animal making its appearance here on KVUE News at 5. I hear, actually, that's really our prime demo, the canine demo. We do really well when we have the dogs on.
I would agree. The pups love us, and we love the pups. Look at all, they're having a good time.
That's just beautiful right there. I mean, I know, you don't want to deal with the ice and the sleet, but man, sometimes it does make for a beautiful photo, doesn't it?
Indeed, it does. And here's some photos from our very own news operations manager, John Gusky, aka our resident professional photographer. He snapped these near downtown, just some really gorgeous shots. Of course, we want to see your photos. Tweet us at KVUE, or you can text the photos to 512-4599-442, and you could see them right here on TV or online.
You could see those icicles just like Ashley back in the day, just hanging out at 6th Street, right, Ashley? Remember, you can send your photos to us. You can text them to us to the number you see on your screen. It's really easy, 459-9442. We might share them with you right here on KVUE and, of course, at KVUE.com. Hanging out by 6th Street, right?
I actually believe it was a young Brian Mays when he was at UT, a young UT student on the streets, on Dirty Six, as they call it.
Just
Don't
sliding right
start,
along.
Brian.
Yep,
All right. There's more KVUE News at 5 to come. We're extending our winter weather coverage for you.
After the break, we'll have the very latest weather, traffic, and updates from the field. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You don't have to leave your living room to
Thank you for sticking with us for this extended version of KVUE News at 5. I'm Ashley Goodo.
A little overtime here. I'm Brian Mays. We're continuing to track all the winter weather we've seen over the last 24 hours or so as it goes across central Texas. Right now you're taking a live look at Lake Travis on this lovely Thursday evening. From that picture, you almost can't tell how cold it is out there, Ashley.
No, it is a lovely shot of Lake Travis, but we know that we are dealing with some freezing temperatures. We have our crews all across central Texas monitoring these frigid conditions. We're going to hear from our reporters in just a minute.
But let's start off this half hour with meteorologist Hunter Williams. We're talking about temperatures that are going to continue to drop into the night tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we've been dropping basically all day long. We started close to freezing this morning. Now we're in the 20s, and many of us will wake up in the teens by tomorrow morning. Hey, this is the good news. Almost all of the precipitation has moved out of Central Texas. It's 28 right now in Austin. It's 24 in Fredericksburg. LaGrange is 30, and we're really watching Fayette County, maybe parts of Lee County still for a sprinkle, some freezing rain or some light sleet. But most of this has moved out, and that will do it for the precipitation part of this event. But the cold weather, yeah, that is still what we're waiting on tonight. We'll drop down to 19 degrees tonight in Austin, low 20s southeast, mid and upper teens west across the hill country. Watching us in Fredericksburg, you guys had some decent ice totals today. You'll wake up at 16 degrees tomorrow morning. Here's our wind chill advisory that was issued. So it's not just the air temperature that's cold. Wind chills for some parts of the hill country could be below zero tomorrow morning. So the bottom line, as things unfold now, with the precipitation moving out, that is coming to an end. Temperatures, though, continue to drop tonight. So we still have some roadways that are now just wet. Those could freeze over and become slick tonight. And we have roadways that are already frozen and will likely stay frozen into tonight and into tomorrow morning. So we advise, at a bare minimum, be really careful with the travel through tomorrow morning, or if you can and you don't have a reason to get out, just stay inside. I'll have another full update on your forecast coming up here in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Hunter. Let's now get to that team coverage. KVUE's Maria Aguilar is live in Georgetown, where there's a crash on I-35. Maria?
Yeah, Ashley, we have been monitoring the roads here in Georgetown, and we were just staying warm as in the car as we noticed that there is a crash down the road here. This is on I-35 northbound at the Leander Road exit. I'm going to step aside so you can take a look what we're seeing here. This is just south of 29. Again, that's on I-35, and this is causing a little bit of a delay here. We are a little bit further north, so we're not exactly sure what kind of vehicle it is, but it looks like a bigger truck or maybe an 18-wheeler. First responders are there now, as you can tell, and you can really see that ice there on the roads. We did notice that as we were driving up to Williamson County, some cars skid off the side of the road, 2 vehicles actually that we noticed, and even ourselves being as safe as possible, we were sliding a little bit. You know, here in Georgetown and just Williamson County overall, the county judge said earlier that 95% of the roads here do have ice, and that is true. We have seen that. We have not seen much traffic. Really what we've seen so far is kind of what it would look like on a holiday, maybe on a Christmas day, on a Thanksgiving day, completely different than what it would look like during rush hour around this time. But again, these are the conditions that we are monitoring, and we've been talking about it all day. If you do not need to be on the road, don't go out, because stuff like this does end up happening. It is dangerous, and as you can see here, that's going to be stalled for a little bit, and you can still see vehicles just coming up north here here in Georgetown. So again, stay safe. Another thing that we've noticed is some vehicles are driving with ice on their windshield, and of course that can be a concern because that flies off while you're driving, and it can be a distraction or a hazard for other people as they're driving. So make sure that you are, if you do absolutely need to go out, to make sure that all the ice is off of your vehicle before you do go out. And if you are in Williamson County and you happen to lose power, or it gets just really cold later tonight, the Wilco Sheriff's Office has a warming center there, and they are going to be open 24 hours until further notice. They have a charging center and warming center there for anybody who needs it. But again, we are just going to be here in Georgetown monitoring those road conditions here on I-35. That's going to stay here, so we're going to stick around and let you know, if anything else develops. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you, Ashley.
Maria, thanks. I'll take it from here, and I do want to zoom in and show you where she is in Georgetown to give you an idea. Leander Road, 29. Of course, that back up here both ways now, as you can see, slow and go on the southbound side and where she was looking on the northbound side. And those backups, again, extend all the way almost to Round Rock. You can see the Cory over on the side there. As we move into downtown again, this is Mopac near 45, the toll road. Again, those elevated roadways you're going to want to avoid. Slow traffic all the way out to I-35 as you go out on the toll road on 45. Again, this is in South Austin, right at 71 and I-35. Again, the overpasses are what you're going to want to avoid. They're slick and they are very, very slow going. Duval still closed between 51st and 45th Street because of that pipe break. And again, if you're out and you need help, 800-525-5555 is the number to call if you get stranded or get in some trouble out on the roads. Ashley, tonight it's going to be a nice cold icy night once again tonight.
Indeed it is, Brian. And folks over in Northwest Austin are where Pamela Combe is. She's right off of Palmer Lane. Pamela, talk to us about how things are looking out there this evening.
Ashley, good evening. I mean, conditions are actually pretty good in this area. We've been here since 8 in the morning, so I've seen it kind of just shift from sleet and rain in the morning to kind of just clear skies, clear roads. You can kind of see over to my left. I mean, there's cars on the road. Some are actually passing by at a pretty quick rate, but there is just minimal ice on the road. A lot of it has melted. There's just kind of like a bit of slush ice in the area. And also right over here to the right, I kind of just want to show you what the water is looking like over there in the end. You can see there's some puddles of water, but they've actually started to freeze around the puddle, and that's just kind of like how it's looking. Also right down here, I mean, you see all this ice. A lot of people might confuse it for snow, but this is actually all rock solid ice. It's covered the grass, it's covered the trees, it's covered the signs. I mean, this place is just, while the roads do look clear, everything is covered in ice. So again, we recommend people to stay home if they can, stay off the roads, even if they're looking like they're passable. But for now, we're tossing it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Pamela Combe in Northwest Austin. Stay with us. We're continuing to bring you the latest on this winter storm.
Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at those road conditions as we head into the overnight hours. Stay with us.
Jason.
Welcome back to KVUE News at 5 Extended. KVUE viewer Kim sent us this photo. That's her dog Coco all wrapped up. Ashley, you said you love to see the dogs in the outfits. Well, here's Coco. A reminder, protect the 4 Ps. That includes pets, people, pipes, and plants as well. It's going to be another cold night tonight. And even, you know what, even if your dog like Coco decides to come inside, go ahead and put the sweater on and the blanket on anyway. While you need to take them outside, you might want to make sure they're prepared. Just take care of your furry friends tonight. If they begin to lift their paws, they say it's time to take them inside. That means their little feet are getting cold, Ashley.
This is what I appreciate most about Coco, dog in boots.
Dogging in boots?
Dog in boots. It was great. All right. Well, keep sending us your photos. We really do love to see them. You can text them to the number on your screen, 512-459-9442, and you could see them right here on KVUE and KVUE.com.
All right, it's time to talk weather with Hunter.
Yeah, y'all were talking about the 4 Ps. We got the great pet reminder there just a moment ago. But you got to take all of your cold weather precautions tonight, because although the precipitation is moving out, it's going to get really cold tonight. We're going to drop down to 19 degrees in the city for Austin. I think a lot of us wake up in the teens tomorrow morning, so just want to make sure everybody is prepared for that. Again, people, pets, pipes, and plants. Make sure you got everything taken care of tonight before you go to bed, or just get it done right now. Still looking frosty from our Concordia weather camera. Earlier I was zoomed in on the trees. You could see some of the ice accumulation there. And by the way, just a few minutes ago, we got the initial icing report from Camp Mabry, the official reporting site in Austin, and they were initially reporting 0.15 of an inch of icing there. Again, still sleet, ice on the ground there. Temperature is 28 for Camp Mabry. It is 29 right now at the Austin airport. And I'll tell you what, it is windy this afternoon. It's going to stay windy this evening. Gusting to 24 right now in Austin. Georgetown's gusting to 26. Look at places like Fredericksburg and Llano, 28. So when you have wind gust up close to 30 miles per hour and temperatures that are already in the 20s and falling, that makes it feel really, really cold. One positive side effect, if you want to call it that, of the wind is when you get wind that's this substantial, sometimes it can actually wick some of the moisture off of the roadway. So maybe that's kind of a pseudo positive for us, is maybe that could help to dry out some of the roadways tonight, get some of that standing water gone before we have the opportunity for that really, really cold weather to, I mean, it's already cold below freezing, before we really, really drop down to a hard freeze tonight. We'll go down to about 19 or 20 by tomorrow morning in Austin. I think the coldest spots out towards Llano and out towards Mason could be down around 15 or 14 degrees. So this is serious cold. You want to take all of your cold weather precautions tonight ahead of that. Hey, the precip, almost all of it has moved out. We had some clearing over the past couple of hours across the hill country. Austin, no sort of precip falling right now. Really, I'm just watching this. Fayette County, that is a tiny little spot. There could be some light sleet or some light freezing rain, but on the 3-hour loop, you can see this is almost entirely pushed away to the east. I want to show you some of the reports, though. These are the sleet totals. I actually just finished the graphic for freezing rain, so I'll show you that coming up during our 6 o'clock newscast. Georgetown, 0.8 of an inch of sleet today. Llano, 0.8 of an inch of sleet. We had some half-inch readings out around Fredericksburg and some reports around the Austin area, 0.3 of an inch of sleet today. And of course, that was in addition to the freezing rain totals, which again, I'll show you coming up in our next newscast. So our lows tonight for each town, 20 degrees in Bastrop, even down to Schulenburg and LaGrange, 22, low 20s. 18 in Georgetown, 16 degrees tomorrow morning in Fredericksburg. We have a wind chill advisory that's been issued for the entire KVUE area. I believe the last time we had one of these was the February winter storm back last year. So wind chills could be below 0 for the coldest spots tonight. And here's the bottom line with the headlines. Again, precip's moving out, but as temperatures drop tonight, any roadways that are still just wet with regular old water, that could freeze and create slick spots and black ice tonight. And anything that is already frozen could stay frozen. So I'm not tracking, every single inch of roadway becoming a skating rink tonight, but with a hard freeze tonight, we will certainly have slick spots that persist through tonight and into tomorrow morning. So, we've been saying it all day. Our advice is if you don't have anywhere to be, please stay off the roadways. And even if you must travel, we really want you to be safe, be super conscious of the bridges and overpasses. Those have really been the problem spots that we've been tracking all day long. So here's our model showing wind chills tomorrow morning. This is 8:30. Feels like 11 in Austin. Feels like single digits for the coldest spots across the hill country. And again, the National Weather Service is saying some of these numbers may actually be a little bit on the warm side. It could be as cold as 4 below for the wind chill. Our morning is going to stay really cold. So the coldest is going to be tomorrow morning, but Saturday is not far behind at 21 degrees. Sunday morning, 25 degrees, but here's the good part of the forecast as we look at the 7-day. Afternoon temperatures. I think Austin will go above freezing tomorrow afternoon, and then Saturday, everybody above freezing will be in the low 50s and then eventually the 60s as we head into the middle and end of next week.
All right, Hunter, thanks a lot. We've got more to come here on KVUE News at 5. We'll go live to Jake Garcia coming up in just a bit. Newscast, it appeared Jake Garcia literally froze, but I'm pleased to report that did not actually happen.
You know, it's because he got out of the Storm Chaser to check on those closing HEBs. You're back in the Storm Chaser now. Jake, where are you?
Ashley and Brian, I learned my lesson really quickly. Stepped outside of the Storm Chaser for the first time today. Saw my breath, couldn't feel my toes, and I was like, that's about it. Back in the Storm Chaser we go. So right now I'm actually just outside Zilker Park. We've been driving around in the Storm Chaser all day long, showing you guys some of the road conditions throughout the city of Austin. Dangerous overpasses and bridges and elevated areas that honestly no one should be driving on right now. I wanted to actually kind of change the tune of that though for this next thing that I'm going to show you. As we approach Zilker Park right now, it's kind of beautiful, I'm not going to lie. Aren't very many people out here. There are actually quite a few more than what there were earlier today. But Brian and Ashley, you know, when you think of iconic lakes throughout the United States, you think of Crater Lake, Lake Tahoe, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, maybe even Lake Austin or Lake Travis, but I give you to your left Lake Zilker Park. How does that sound? It's coming along nicely here. I actually snapped a picture of that earlier today, and one of the viewers was saying that if it completely freezes over, he might have to take his ice skates out. So we'll definitely be on the lookout for any figure skaters or Olympic hopefuls with the Winter Olympics fast approaching. Zilker Park, kind of a winter wonderland right now. If you look too closely, though, you will see that it's pretty much completely underwater. But it looks good from a surface level. Lots of of dust, lots of ice, and the side of Austin city limits looking a little bit more like Austin chili limits right now. Brian and Ashley will send it back to you in the studio.
With the puns, we appreciate the puns.
I like it. Hunter just said they got 1.6 inches there at Zilker Park of rain last night, so that's why you're seeing Lake Zilker out there today. Go for a little water skiing, perhaps, Jay Garcia.
Yeah, you should get out of the storm chaser again. Just see what it's like. Just get on that ice for a minute. No? All right, it's probably the safe choice.
He's a smart guy. I've always said that about him. Smart guy.
He is. Jake, we thank you for that live report. We're going to have another check of your weather coming up.
Jason.
We're taking a live look at Round Rock.
That's our Kalahari cam. I wish the camera was inside so we could see everybody having fun on the water slides. Temperatures outside continuing to stay well below freezing tonight. Tonight at 6, we'll have, of course, more team coverage of this wintry weather.
Yeah, we'll have another look at your forecast too. In the meantime, here's the 7-day. It's going to be a hard freeze tonight, down to 19 in Austin, but the precip has moved out. We'll get above freezing for Friday afternoon, at least in Austin, but another hard freeze Saturday morning, 25 Sunday morning, but the afternoons by Sunday in the low 50s.
Thank you for watching this extended coverage of KVUE News at 5.
The hits just keep on coming. Besides the pandemic, credit card rates are going up. Inflation is here. Gas prices are going up. But you know what? Mortgage rates have stayed low. Contact TexasSunny.com for a cash out refinance or home equity refinance. We are the Texas experts to help you consolidate your debts and save money. Call us today and close fast with TexasSunny.com. We got them.
When you think mortgage, think TexasLending.com.
Number 1, the Texas economy under Governor Greg Abbott. Ranked the number 1 state for business every year he's been governor. Number 1 in exports. Number 1 in businesses moving to the state. And over 1 million new jobs since the pandemic. But Biden and Beto would destroy it all. Open.
But as temperatures drop, roadways that are now just wet or are already frozen could continue to be slick through tonight and into tomorrow mornings.
We did see a lot of ice as we were driving on I-35 entering Williamson County.
We're looking to see what's exactly going to happen once the sun goes down.
Thank you so much for joining us for KVUE News at 6. Look at this ice coating many, if not every tree in central Texas tonight.
Oh my goodness, and the accumulation is pretty significant depending on where you are tonight. And that ice, along with the bitter cold, is creating dangerous conditions. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of KVUE News at 6.
Let's get right to it tonight, checking in with meteorologist Hunter Williams. Hunter, is the worst of the precipitation now over?
Yeah, the good news, Brian and Quid, is that not only is the worst of it over, almost all of the precipitation has moved out. We still have a little bit of sleet and freezing rain over Fayette County, but for the Austin Metro and the vast majority of us, it is now dry. So let me start with setting the scene for you. It is still very wintry, so the precip has ended, but we still have sleet and icing on the ground in many locations, a big fat icicle from our Kalahari cam up in Round Rock. Temperatures today have been below freezing all day. They dropped below this morning, and for many areas, they've kind of been dropping even into this afternoon. It's 28 right now in Austin. Leander's at 25. It is 23 right now in Fredericksburg and Llano. Even down to LaGrange, temperatures are below freezing. And it feels even colder. Wind is gusting upwards of 20 to upwards of 25 miles per hour even for much of central Texas. So this is the feels like temperature. Feels like 19 right now in Austin. If you think that's cold, we could have some below zero feels like temperatures tomorrow morning. Here's the radar. Again, we're just watching down around Schulenburg, far southern Fayette County, maybe some sleet or some freezing rain, but the rest of us have already dried out. This is what we wake up to tomorrow morning. 19 in Austin, mid and upper teens for the hill country, low 20s southeast of Austin, a wind chill advisory in effect for tonight through tomorrow morning. So here's our 3-day forecast. Tomorrow afternoon, likely going above freezing for the Austin area, but in the meantime, we have wet roads that could freeze tonight and create black ice. We have roads that are already frozen that will continue to be a problem, so we're keeping a really close eye on the traffic maps. And in fact, Brian has been watching that all afternoon long. Brian, what are you seeing now?
Well, Hunter, what I've seen is that in South Austin on I-35, it's really not too bad. You can see both lanes relatively clear of any accumulation of ice, but that's not the case when you head up north on I-35. This in Georgetown, a wreck still working. That's 29, that's Leander Road, and this is I-35. You can see still backed up for a bit as you head even down towards Round Rock on Interstate 35 today. We're watching those overpasses and elevated highways. Mopac as it hits 45. You can see slow and go just around the corner there coming onto Mopac southbound. But again, people by and large staying pretty safe. Again, this is Sunset Valley. You can see there it's still slow and go there, but we've been watching Duval still closed from 51st Street all the way to 45th Street because of that water main break. Of course, if you have a trouble on the roads tonight, 525-5555. That's the number to call if you get in a non-emergency situation out on the roads tonight, Quita.
I know you were saying, Brian, that number is also on the back of your driver's license, so you won't forget it. Thanks, Brian. And KVUE's Jake Garcia is in the KVUE Storm Chaser tonight. And Jake, you've been out there for a few hours now, driving across the bridges and overpasses. Have you and your photographer seen any changes since this morning?
Yeah, I'd say we've seen some pretty significant changes in that conditions are improving. When I drove into work this morning from South Austin up on Mopac towards North Austin, there were parts that were completely iced over, and we had to take it really slow at certain points, 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour, just to avoid slipping out. But that narrative has kind of changed as the day has gone on. Not only are there not a lot of people out on the roads, but the road conditions for those who are out here pretty good. You know, the worst of what we're seeing right now are just some wet patches, but at this point it's not even really ice on at least the city roads. Again, bridges and overpasses are a completely different story. When I spoke with you guys just a few minutes ago, we were at Zilker Park. We're actually now headed towards Pennybacker Bridge in the Austin Country Club area, given that that's, of course, one of the most iconic bridges here in Austin. We're not quite there yet, and I don't think we're going to have time to show you that picture. Hopefully we can get that shot for you later on in the newscast. But again, Quita, as Hunter mentioned, the worst of it, I think, is past us, and fairly good road conditions right now here on the Lakeway side of Austin, if you will.
All right, that is good news. KVUE's Jake Garcia live on the road for us tonight. Jake, thank you.
Travel disruptions not only on the roads, flight cancellations piling up at Austin's airport tonight into tomorrow. At last check, there were more than 400 flights canceled because of the weather, along with a handful of delays out at AUS. If you or a loved one has plans to travel via the airlines, be sure to check your flight status before heading out to Austin's airport today and tomorrow. We have a link to do that at our website. That, of course, is KVUE.com.
So let's take a look at the state's power grid. That's on the minds of quite a few people. And right now it's up and running just fine with enough power to meet the demand. And tonight, state leaders say the Texas power grid is reliable and resilient. And they say any power outages that we're seeing are localized issues and not because of the state grid. During a press conference today, Governor Greg Abbott said there's plenty of power available to get through peak demand tomorrow and the rest of this winter storm. He says there's enough extra electricity to power about 2 million homes, but still some Texans are dealing with power outages tonight during this winter weather.
The most probable cause of a power outage right now around the state of Texas for anybody who's without power is either because of heavy winds affected lines or more likely because of an icing condition, where ice itself could have brought down power lines, or ice could have weighed down on trees or tree limbs that would have brought down a power line.
Governor Abbott says there are already 10,000 linemen working across the state to restore power tonight, and almost 2,000 more are coming in from out of state to help. He issued a proclamation that will waive some regulations and let repair trucks come to the state faster and easier. And we want to take a look at the Austin area now, where there have been some outages reported this evening. Now, this is the map from Austin Energy. It's live, and about 160 customers are affected right now. And Austin Energy says they do have crews out on the scenes working to restore power.
You may have trouble finding an open grocery store in the Austin area tonight. H-E-B officials tell us most of their stores closed early tonight, so products can be restocked and they can conserve a bit of power. Central Market locations will close at 8 p.m., just a couple of hours from now, so you still have a bit of time to get there. Stores will reopen tomorrow morning, according to H-E-B, at 8 a.m.
And if you haven't already done it, now is a great time to download the KVUE app. It'll definitely come in handy as conditions continue to change, so just download it now from your phone's app store. And still to come on KVUE News at 6, a live report from one of our reporters who is in Marble Falls tonight.
It's cold out there too. You're watching a special edition of KVUE News at 6. Stay with us.
You've been
A major winter storm brought freezing rain, sleet, and some of the coldest air we've seen this year here to central Texas. The storm's starting to wind down, at least the precipitation side of it, but that bitter cold is going to linger around for at least a couple of more days. Could make it treacherous for driving out there if you have to get on the roads tonight. It's not advisable, but if you do, be very careful. Let's check in with Maria Aguilera. She's in Georgetown tonight where they're dealing with some traffic trouble this evening. Maria.
Yeah, Brian, this right here just shows you how dangerous the road conditions are here in Georgetown. This is just off of I-35 northbound at the Leander Road exit, just south of 29. I'm going to step aside so you can take a look exactly what we're seeing here. This is an 18-wheeler that jackknifed. We were not here when the crash happened, but it appears to have hit the median and gone over that barrier. And it's been like this for a little while now as first responders arrived and they are diverting traffic. We can see that now it seems like a tow truck is going to try to get this off of the road, and really this just shows you how dangerous it is. We have seen a lot of ice here just in Williamson County overall. Earlier today the county judge said 95% of the roads did have ice, and let me tell you, we have seen that. We've seen ice, we've seen slush, but either way a very dangerous situation. We've seen cars skid off of the road, and then this is not the first time that somebody loses control in this area here today. Brian, you were just talking earlier about accidents on I-35, and we are clearly seeing one here right now. We've seen a lot of 18-wheelers driving, and some vehicles, not the normal amount of vehicles that you would see at this time any other day. But of course, again, this really just shows why people are telling you to stay off of the roads if you don't have to be out, and to drive extra cautious if you do have to be out. Again, we are here on I-35 northbound. This is just at the Leander Road exit, just south of 29, and we're going to continue to monitor those road conditions here. And of course, we're going to see when this accident is cleared off of the road here. But for now, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and toss it back to you.
All right, Maria, thanks a lot. Actually, coming up in just a few minutes from now, we're going to have Georgetown's police chief. We'll ask him about the situation there as well. Maria Aguilera live in Georgetown for us tonight. Maria, thank you.
All right, we know everybody has been out taking pictures of the ice, of the snow, the sleet, the freezing rain. We want to see your weather pictures, like this one, the cat Bo enjoying the storm in Pflugerville. I don't know if the cat's enjoying it, but hey, it's looking at it. Thanks to Blaine Aldridge for sending that picture in. And we definitely want to see what you're seeing where you are tonight. Tweet us and tag our KVUE account on social media, or you can text the picture to us at 512-459-9442, and you could see them right here on KVUE.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say Bo was not enjoying
No, Bo was like, what are you doing to me?
Hunter's here with us. Hunter, that ice isn't going anywhere because we're not going to be above freezing for a while.
Yeah, that's the thing, guys. All the precipitation has essentially moved out, but that does not immediately eliminate our travel concerns. We have bridges and overpasses especially that are already icy. Those will stay icy through tonight into tomorrow morning. And I'm also watching the potential for some black ice, so areas that have just been liquid water on the roads all day, freezing as temperatures drop down to a hard freeze tonight. Here's a live look from our Oasis cam over Lake Travis. It's a gray sky, it's cold, it's windy, but the sleet and the freezing rain has moved out. The numbers today, 37 was the high at Camp Mabry. That happened right at midnight. 38 at the airport. Temperatures have really been dropping through much of the day since then. Obviously way cooler than our average of 65 today. By the way, got our initial report for the amount of freezing rain at Camp Mabry today. They're thinking right around 0.15 of an inch of freezing rain there. And I've seen some totals across parts of Travis County up to about 0.3 of an inch. We'll get more into that later on. Here's our radar right now. Again, that's the last little bit of precip that is moving out of Fayette County. So if you're watching us from LaGrange or Schulenburg, Flatonia down in that area, still some light freezing rain or some sleet, but the rest of us are dry and will stay dry through the rest of tonight as this moves away to the east. Watching that freezing line closely for the Houston Metro right now. But again, our concerns are coming to an end as far as precip moving out. So a couple of traffic views for you. Here is SH45 at I-35. You still see some icing on the roadways there, especially the sides of the roads. I-35 at the Manor Upper, and then this is 183 at Lakeline Boulevard. And look, we have a lot of bridges and overpasses that look like that. So the deal for tonight, look, it's not every single inch of every single roadway that's going to become an ice rink tonight, but look, we have stuff like that, and that's going to continue to stay frozen or freeze over additionally through tonight. Or if there's just plain old water on the roads, that could become black ice. So that could create tricky travel issues even through tonight and into tomorrow morning, even though the precipitation has moved out. So that's really the bottom line here that we're tracking. Precip is gone, but temperatures continue to drop, so roadways that through the day have just been wet could freeze and become black ice, and roadways that are already frozen will stay frozen, especially the bridges and the overpasses. So please be really mindful. We'll get a hard freeze tonight with temperatures dropping down to the teens and low 20s, so ice tomorrow morning. Again, our advice all day has been to just stay indoors, and I would recommend staying home through tomorrow morning until we warm above freezing if possible. If not, just be super mindful out there. Go slow, lots of distance, and avoid the bridges and overpasses if you can. Down to 19 by tomorrow morning in Austin, low 20s southeast, mid and upper teens across the hill country, so a hard freeze. Remember the 4 Ps tonight: people, pets, pipes, and plants, to get those cold weather precautions done tonight or as soon as possible because temperatures are already below freezing. Now the air temperature is one thing. We have a wind chill advisory 9 p.m. tonight through 9 a.m. on Friday. What that means is wind chill values could be perhaps dangerously low. Some of these could even be sub-zero by tomorrow morning. This is 6:30 tomorrow morning. It feels like 9 in Austin. Widespread single-digit feels like temperatures by tomorrow morning. So really want to give you a heads up for that. Here's the air temperature. Again, we have teens to low 20s for tomorrow morning. The afternoon forecast, though, the data coming in today is actually a little optimistic. We go above freezing, 35 in Austin. I think a good chunk of Central Texas will make it slightly above freezing, and with sunshine, that should go a long way in getting a lot of this icing out of here. Now, the coldest spots could stay below freezing even through tomorrow afternoon. In that case, there still could be some icing issues into Saturday morning, but everybody goes above freezing for Saturday afternoon. Sunday afternoon will be in the low 50s, and then we have much warmer weather that's back in the forecast by next week. By Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures are back in the low 60s.
All right, Hunter,
60s.
thank you.
60s. Sounds good, right?
I know. I'm like, I miss the 60s so much.
Thanks, Hunter.
Well, after the break, our Tony Plahetsky has a one-on-one interview with Georgetown's interim police chief and how they're responding to the storm. Stay with us.
storm coverage. We've spent the entire day talking to government leaders and emergency responders throughout Central Texas about the conditions that they are seeing in their communities. Now we want to bring in the interim police chief of the Georgetown Police Department, Chief Cory. Cheetah, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We were just looking at pictures on I-35 there in Georgetown of a jackknife tractor trailer. So I just want to start by asking what, in terms of the highway conditions, is taking place right now, and what have you seen within the past few hours there?
Yeah, Tony. So, the day started off actually pretty well. We only had a couple of crashes, and then late afternoon that started to change. We started to see some more activity on I-35. I think as the lower temperatures settled in, I-35 is one of the places that it did settle in, and throughout the day so far, we're currently at about 15 crashes, and a number of those have been on I-35 in that particular area that you see there.
Chief, would you say those are all fairly minor accidents, or have you had some with injuries at this point?
Early morning, we had one crash with some minor injuries, but most everything else has been people slipping and sliding around. The city's done a really good job leading up to this winter weather storm, making sure the roads we typically know about have been getting de-iced and sanded. In regards to 35, we have made contact with TxDOT, and they should be en route to begin taking the mitigation measures to hopefully get this under control as well.
For your officers on the street, what other types of calls have they responded to today? Has it almost entirely been traffic crashes, or have there been other weather-related calls as well?
We've done pretty well here in the city of Georgetown in terms of utilities are solid. We've had a number of people that have slid into the ditch as well, so we've had some calls of assisting those people in the ditch. But really, as far as weather, last night we did some outreach to make sure that people that needed to get out of the cold, that they had some options to get out of the cold. But today it's been primarily just dealing with the crashes and people sliding off the roadway.
Chief, how have you prepared your officers for what could unfold tonight? How will you be staffed in the overnight hours and leading into the early morning hours when some officials say that could be the worst with regard to road conditions?
Just telling you, we made sure that we have additional staffing on the road, like all support personnel, myself included, are ready to work the street if needed. We have chains for the cars if those are needed. Of course, we have de-icer. Everybody has plenty of warm gear, so we are prepared to be out there for the long haul if needed to make sure that everybody gets home safe. And of course, we're still. I concur with what you said, that tomorrow is going to be probably as bad, if not worse, than today is what it's looking like with these low temperatures and wind chills settling in. So we are still asking the same thing we've been asking for the last several days, that everyone please, if you don't have to drive, don't drive. Please stay home. Please help us out, help yourself out. Stay home. I know it's been a rough ride with the pandemic of staying home, and it's not fun staying home anymore, but please, a little bit longer. We should see some relief later this weekend. Please just stay home.
Georgetown Interim Police Chief Cory Cheetah, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening here on KVUE. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Stay with us.
We've got a problem, America. Junk sleep is what you get from a bed that isn't right for you. Keep calling Kevin Keith. Junk sleep. Left your
KVUE's Mike Maroot is live in Marble Falls. And Mike, I know it is bitterly cold out there in the Hill Country tonight.
Bitterly cold seems like an understatement at this point, Cheetah. We were just saying, my photog Heike and I, that our fingertips seem to be frozen even with our gloves on. But right now I'm in downtown Marble Falls, and it's kind of a ghost town right now, especially for a Thursday evening, which is a good thing though in this case, because we want people to be home right now. You can see that these parking spots behind me are pretty much empty. Plants are covered in front of the storefronts, and the stores are pretty much closed. Right now we have one open sports bar, and that's really about it. Mostly what we've seen on these roads here today, it's been pretty dry overall. Not a whole lot of slush from this morning. A lot of that froze pretty early in the day, like around 10:30, maybe even 11. And especially those overpasses and bridges that we've heard so much about had some freezing conditions. But for the most part, it's been pretty dry. But as things start to melt away and we see these overnight temperatures, obviously the sun is already down. That means that things are going to refreeze. And so the roads could be treacherous once again, especially coming out to the Hill Country, coming out to Burnett County, Marble Falls, etc. So make sure that if you are out on the roads in the evening hours to be safe, and make sure that you are driving slower than you normally would in these frozen conditions. Cheetah, back to you.
All right, I hope that beard is at least keeping your face a little warm, Mike, but get in the car, warm up, and stay safe.
I think Mike's a popsicle by now. Great job, Mike. Straight ahead, a number of Texans still without power as this Arctic cold air grips the state. Why the lights are out in some places tonight. Our special coverage continues after this.
Our job is to give everyone a voice. Who doesn't like to stand up for the little guy? I'm Erica Proffer with the KVUE Defenders. Reach out and tell me how we can make your community better.
Tonight, I'm a fighter. My entire career, that's been my reality.
Black actresses in Hollywood speaking their truths.
This is my story, our story. This wasn't easy.
And exclusive. See for the first time anywhere who will star in the new, highly anticipated reimagining of The Color Purple.
I am here representing all
A special extended edition of KVUE News at 6 as you take a live look on a cloudy, very cold Thursday at Lake Travis. That winter weather is sticking around. It's not going anywhere as we're going to be cold again tonight.
We are stuck with it for the time being, and let's check in with meteorologist Hunter Williamson. Hunter, dangerously low temperatures are in the forecast for tonight.
Yeah, Cheetah, Brian, now that the precip is moving out, that's what we turn our attention to, the cold weather. We're going to have air temperatures tomorrow morning in the teens, and wind chills could be single digits, maybe even some wind chill values below zero tomorrow morning. So those are dangerous wind chill values that we're expecting. But as far as the freezing rain and the sleet, it's almost all gone. You can see Austin completely dry. We're watching south of LaGrange, that little sliver of Fayette County. That is the last of the freezing rain and sleet, and that will be out of here in the next 30 minutes or so as that edges towards the Houston area now. So we're done with the precip. This is what we're tracking moving forward. Sleet and freezing rain have ended. We are still watching the bridges and the overpasses tonight and the potential for black ice. So roadways that were covered in just regular water through the day, as temperatures drop tonight, black ice could form there. So still, this is not a situation where the precip ends or we're completely done with this. Still, there could be some travel impacts into tomorrow morning. A hard freeze tonight and dangerous wind chills. Again, the main thing that we're watching now. This is the morning low forecast air temperature wise tomorrow. 19 in Austin, low 20s as you go southeast, mid and upper 20s for the hill country. It'll be around 17 tomorrow morning in Llano and Burnett. So the 4 Ps, make sure you remember that. Outside of the air temperature, the wind chill, again, could be dangerously low. A wind chill advisory has been issued 9 p.m. this evening through 9 a.m. tomorrow, and this is what the wind chill map could look like. Widespread single digits. Some of our models are showing numbers even cooler than that, that could be below 0 for the wind chill tomorrow morning. Now, Austin tomorrow afternoon, I do think will go just above freezing, but there could be parts of Central Texas that are below freezing through Saturday morning. Now, good news, afternoons over the weekend are going to be warmer, so I'll walk you through our full extended forecast coming up in a matter of minutes.
All right, let's take a look at the roads. As you take a look at I-35 here at River Hills Drive, that's in Georgetown, and you can see still traffic beginning to move through there. They've had some issues in Georgetown. We had the police chief on just a few minutes ago. An accident in this area between 29 and Leander Road still causing backups there on both sides. Really, you can see on the northbound and southbound side of I-35, and that residual traffic, it appears to be making its way over to 130. Again, that's likely slow traffic, not thick traffic, so you can imagine there's a little ice on the roads. That's the toll, 183 toll, as you head right back to join 183. Slow down there, those elevated roads. Again, you're going to want to avoid those throughout the night tonight. Places like Mopac to 45, the flyover there as you get all the way to 35, you can see 45 is backed up or going slow all the way past, almost out to 130 tonight. And again, we're watching that Duval closure from 51st Street all the way to 45th Street. That's been closed most of the day because of a water main break. We'll let you know when they get that repaired. Quita.
All right, thank you, Brian. And our own Maria Aguilera is in Georgetown tonight, keeping an eye on the slick roads out there. Maria, I see that there's actually an accident right behind you. What's going on out there?
Yeah, Quita, Brian was just talking about that accident. It is here on I-35 northbound, just between Leander Road and 29. This was an 18-wheeler that jackknifed. I'm going to take a step to the side so you can take a look. It jackknifed and it apparently hit the median and went over that median. But since we have been here, they have removed it from the median and they are currently hooking it up now on a tow truck to get it out of here. But this really just goes to show how dangerous the conditions are out here. A lot of slick roads, a lot of ice on the roads and slush. Earlier today, as we were driving up north on I-35, we saw 2 cars that skid off of the road, other cars just slipping and sliding like the chief said earlier, and just really it's a dangerous situation out here. And as it gets darker and as you mentioned that those temperatures are dropping, of course it really is just not safe to be out here. But we really have seen some vehicles still traveling, trying to go as safe as they can. We've seen a lot of 18-wheelers just like that one, a lot of big rigs on the road. So again, that also causes some concerns because if they do lose control, stuff like this does happen, unfortunately. If you are in Williamson County and you happen to get really cold tonight and you need a place to stay that is warm or you need a charging center, the Williamson County Sheriff's Office is opening up a warming center at their office and they're going to be there all night. And they're saying until further notice and as the conditions get better. So if you need a place to go, they are going to be out there tonight. But for now here again in Georgetown, the conditions aren't looking so great. The county judge earlier did mention that 95% of the roads did have ice, and we have really seen that as we've been driving through the area. It is bitterly cold out here, so again, if you don't have to be out, just don't go out at all. But again, we're going to continue to monitor this crash and let you know when things are all cleared up. For now, I'm going to toss it back to you, Quita.
All right, she said it. Stay home if you can. KVUE's Maria Aguilera in Georgetown tonight. Maria, thank you.
Now, besides the roads tonight, another concern, keeping the lights on during this ice storm. A lot of people were nervous about that. Right now, you can see the state's power grid is, in fact, holding up with enough power to meet the demand statewide. That's on the left there. The purple line at the top showing just how much we have. The bottom line is the demand. So right now, the purple is ahead of the blue, which is good for us here in the state of Texas. Now, there are, however, a few power outages in the Austin area. Local power outages affecting about 150 customers as we head into the 6:30 block tonight. Quita?
All right, if you haven't done it yet, please make sure to download the KVUE app. You can get the latest alerts sent straight to your phone. It's free in your phone's app store. And still to come tonight, experts say the safest place to be is off the road. Stay home. But if you do have to drive, we have advice to get you safely where you're going. Stay with us.
Round.
Back to this extended version of KVUE News at 6. All right, the bitter cold settling into central Texas, and ice is starting to build up tonight on some roadways. TxDOT has been treating the highways, but as things get colder, all of that slush that's still out on the roads can create very hazardous conditions. Let's check in with KVUE's Pamela Combe. She's live now near Palmer Lane in Northwest Austin. And Pamela, I can hear the traffic going on behind you. Are you seeing a lot of people out on the road where you are tonight?
Cheetah, good evening. I actually am. I mean, there's not too many, but there is a good flow of cars passing by. I don't know how much you can see on the roads right now, but I mean, when compared to this morning, they have improved tremendously. There's just a little bit of slush on the roads, nothing really too severe. They're a little bit wet, but I mean, cars are passing through, cars are passing by at the speed limit. They're not really slowing down because the conditions here aren't really that bad. And I mean, just to kind of show you, while the roads aren't full of ice, I mean, the trees, the floor right here, you can see it's all just full of ice. A lot of people might mistake this for snow, but this is just rock solid ice. Actually, when we were walking on this sidewalk right by here, we almost slipped because it's just so slippery right by here. And I mean, everything looks, you know, like this, covered in ice, the trees, the signs, and it is just really, really, really cold in this part of town. So again, we encourage you to stay bundled up, stay away from the roads, and yeah, stay safe and try to stay home as much as you can. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, pop into the car for a little bit and warm up, Pamela. Thank you so much.
With roads expected to refreeze overnight and into tomorrow morning, it's best to not try to drive, but if you have to get out for whatever reason, here's some safe driving tips from KVUE's Bob Buckaloo.
We've all seen the pictures, the hazards of driving on our roads covered in ice, something that doesn't happen too often in our part of the world. These scenes are from up north. But even in Austin, ice on the highway can get the better of us if we drive too fast.
Oh, wow.
It does take special effort to drive when it's like this outside. The safety experts at AAA have a few reminders if you must get out on the roads. Before you take off, use an ice scraper to remove ice from your windshield and all windows, including those on the side. Once you're on your way, reduce your speed and leave plenty of room to stop. You should allow at least 3 times more space than usual between you and the vehicle in front of you. Brake gently to avoid skidding. Never use cruise control on a wet or icy road. And if you should happen to find yourself in a skid,
when a vehicle begins to skid, it's important not to panic and just continue to look and steer in the direction you want the car to go. Avoid slamming on the brakes. That will just further upset the vehicle's balance, and it makes it harder to control.
better yet, say the experts, stay home. But if you must travel, you might consider some alternatives.
Yeah, you're right.
Bob Buckaloo, KVUE News.
Brian, maybe you can pull me home on one of those tonight.
Yeah, travel by sled. I like that idea, actually. That Hunter looked like fun to me.
Yeah.
That did look fun. And I want to just echo what Bob was talking about. The best way to drive on ice is to not drive on ice. And that is what we've been recommending through the day today. But if you absolutely need to get out, please just drive slowly, listen to those tips, and be especially mindful of the bridges and overpasses, because that's where we've seen the most issues today. Now, as of now, the precip has moved out, so this is an icy view from our Kalahari cam, but there's no longer any freezing rain or sleet falling. So that has now all moved out, and we really turn our attention to the cold now. It is 28 in Austin, Georgetown's at 24, it's 23 in Llano, and tomorrow morning, just about all of us are going to wake up in the teens with wind chill values that could honestly be dangerously low, single digits, maybe even some below zero wind chill values tomorrow. This is why, gusting to 22 in Austin, Georgetown gusting to 26. Now, one positive benefit of this, like, we don't want dangerous wind chills, obviously, but this type of wind, sometimes it can kind of wick some of the moisture off the roadways. So I'm hoping that some of that standing water that we had earlier once the precip first moved out has kind of disappeared now, because we watch for the potential for black ice tonight as those temperatures continue to drop. So it feels like 19 right now in Austin. It feels like 20 in LaGrange. I mean, we're talking about the potential for single-digit wind chills. It already feels like 8 degrees right now in Fredericksburg. So hopefully you are on the couch somewhere warm, bundled up. This is, again, dangerously low wind chill values, so we hope everybody is staying indoors tonight. Again, this is the last little bit of the precip here. That pink, there's some light freezing rain and sleet that's moving out of Fayette County, and there's nothing behind it. So we will be dry Through tonight, we're not expecting any sort of additional precipitation to move in. But I want to show you some of the totals that we had as far as freezing rain. I showed you the sleet totals about an hour ago. We had freezing rain reports in North Austin of up to 3/10 of an inch of freezing rain. 2/10 of an inch Cedar Park, 2/10 of an inch for Round Rock, Leander about 1600ths, and the initial preliminary gauge for Camp Mabry reporting 1500ths of an inch of freezing rain accumulations at the official site there in Austin. So these are some traffic cameras that I snapped pictures of about 30-45 minutes ago. You can see still some slush there. That's SH 45 at I-35. This is I-35 the main or upper, still on the sides of the roads there, still some slush. And this is the overpass here, 183 at Lakeline Boulevard, which is still covered in ice. So we have many bridges and overpasses that look like this, and because temperatures are below freezing, this is not really going to melt. So if there's stuff that's icy right now, it's probably going to be icy tomorrow morning. And if there's anything that's liquid right now, that could freeze and become black ice through tonight. So that's really what we're honing in on with our bottom line headlines. Sleet and freezing rain have ended, but we're watching the bridges and overpasses and the potential for black ice overnight tonight through at least tomorrow morning. So again, I would recommend don't drive if you have nowhere to go. And if you absolutely have to, drive slowly. Use all those tips that Bob was telling you about. Hard freeze tonight with dangerous wind chills. That's what we're watching. We'll go down to 19 tonight in Austin, mid and upper teens as you go west, low 20s as you go southeast of Austin, even down to Schulenburg and LaGrange 22. This is our wind chill advisory that's in effect starting 9 p.m. and it will go through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning with wind chill values that for some areas could even be below zero, as low as 4 below. This is our forecast model for 7 a.m. where it is showing 9 degrees for the feels like temperature. Real quick look at tomorrow's afternoon forecast. I think Austin will get above freezing tomorrow afternoon with sunshine, so that should help any icing issues that are still there. Parts of central Texas, though, could stay below freezing through tomorrow afternoon and into Saturday morning. So at the latest, I'm watching Saturday morning with another hard freeze, maybe still some icy spots there, but then the afternoon, everyone goes above freezing, so that should eliminate any problems. Then Sunday will be in the low 50s, another day of low 50s on Monday. And how nice does 62 degrees sound on a day like today? By Wednesday and Thursday, we'll be at 62, which is still technically below average, but that's going to feel marvelous, and we will look ahead to that for next week.
Well, bring the 60s.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Looking forward to it, Hunter. Thanks. By the way, Hunter, great job today. You've been here for about, seems like 3 straight days now. Good work.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And Brian, very multi-talented today, stepping in on the traffic.
I was going to say, a traffic guy in the house.
They won't let that happen again.
A great team effort from everybody here at KVUE today. It's been great.
We'd like to see what you're seeing. Keep your photos coming. We love to see these. Tweet them to us. Tag KVUE on your account and social media. You can also text them to us if you have the text machine. That's 459-9442. You could see your picture, especially if it's got your dog in it, right here on the news on KVUE. We'll be back with Burnett County Judge after this. Stay with us.
Ready?
Everyone, we want to go about 40 miles to the west of where we are right now, out to Burnett County and the Hill Country. Burnett County Judge James Oakley joining us from there. Judge, good evening. Thank you for being with us this evening. I know that we talked about 12 hours ago. It's been a very long day, but just wanted to see your current assessment of how things are going there in Burnett County tonight.
Well, we're doing pretty good. I haven't had any reports of any accidents. People are using a lot of common sense. They're driving slow, which is the main thing. You know, there's definitely some ice on the roads, and it's definitely cold outside, as Hunter was saying. And, you know, I think we're past the precipitation phase of this, and it's just cold.
Judge, we were talking earlier as well. Certainly, we all remember what happened in 2021, and you were saying that what you've seen unfold there in Burnett County today really does not compare. But how would you describe it, just based on your life experience there in Burnett County and in the Texas Hill Country?
Well, it's just it's just a good old-fashioned freeze with ice, and people just need to really be careful. We got a lot of folks that have moved in that aren't used to that, and it's all in respecting driving conditions that are not optimal. And nothing compares to last year. That was a record-setting game changer. But today is just a matter of just some ice and some bad spots, and but people used a lot of common sense, and hats off to all the crews within the city as well as the county crews. The county commissioners have been out and about, icing the hills, de-icing the hills, and putting material out. And so it's good teamwork along with TxDOT, just to make sure that we're doing the best we can to make the situation best as it can be.
And you've certainly got hills out there and a lot of up and down highways and roads. As we go into the night tonight and into the morning hours, can you just quickly sort of say what your hope is for residents and what you're asking them to do?
Well, just asking them to use, as I said earlier today, about common sense. Just don't get out on the roads unless you absolutely have to. And if you do, just go slow. It's speed is not your friend. That momentum is impossible to direct when you're sliding. So you just go slow and just be real careful, and don't get out unless you absolutely have to.
Burnett County Judge James Oakley, we really appreciate your time and information this evening from out there in Burnett County. Thank you again.
Glad to be here for you.
Quita.
All right, thank you, Tony. And let's check back in now with Jake Garcia. He's in our KVUE Storm Chaser. So, Jake, where are you? What are you seeing where you are?
Quita, we're about to turn onto Mopac, headed northbound, and get on the 183 overpass. That today has been, as we're experiencing some turbulence here, but that today has been one of the most treacherous portions of the roadways. So we were hoping to time this up to give you guys a look of what exactly that's looking like right now. I'm going to turn the camera the other way, and if it's dark, well, that's just because it's dark outside, and you won't be able to truly get a grasp of what the conditions are actually like, but I'll do my best to describe them. As we've been mentioning throughout the newscast, conditions are starting to get better on the roadways. Less ice, less water. With that being said, any water that does stick around through the night will probably freeze over, which means if you can avoid it, please don't go out on the roadways. We've been saying that all day long here on KVUE, and that's the message we continue to stress. We do know that, of course, some of you are going to have to get up tomorrow morning and go to your jobs that unfortunately won't be able to allow you to stay home for a second day in a row. So if that's the case, just take extra caution. Make sure to drive 20, 25, 30, 35 miles an hour, and not even really close to the normal pace that you'd go into work with. So as we approach this overpass up here, my producers are telling me to wrap. Just know that it's probably still like many overpasses we've seen throughout Central Texas today, in that the conditions are ice. Those are the parts of the road that are most exposed to the elements. elements, unlike the inner city roads, which are a little bit more insulated from those. So with that, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio. We're approaching the interchange right now, Quita, and it looks like it's a little bit wet, some ice off to the side, and sure enough, I'm going to switch the camera around one last time, and you can hopefully see the ice on the side of the road.
Oh, please go slow. KVUE's Jake Garcia live on the road for us tonight. Be careful out there, y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Jake pretty much summed it up there. We have a lot of roads that are completely fine, but a lot of those bridges and overpasses are icy. They're going to stay icy through tomorrow morning, and roads that are just wet right now, there could be some black ice. So if you don't have to travel, we recommend staying indoors with a hard freeze tonight.
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of KVUE News at 6.
We'll see you back here.
I struggled with neck pain for 10 years, and sitting for long periods of time made it almost unbearable. The pain was affecting my job and kept me from doing things that I love to do in life. I couldn't